Okay, so this week on Saturday, you're going to have to turn in on the discussion your thoughts on some artists that you're going to look at their work on ArtStor, a database in the library. So now what I'm going to do is a screen share to show you how to access that and how to use it. So this is what my canvas looks like. I'm going to go to student view. Let's see, one page. I don't see student view. I think it's behind this box. Yes. All right, student view. I'm going to the student view. So this is what you see and what you'll do for the assignment. So you have some urban sketches due. I think that there's like a lot of videos online that you can look at if you want more help. This one gives you what is urban sketching. The next page is a video where Tio, an online artist, an artist who has an online channel, does a lot of urban sketching and gives you some ideas about it. I posted some examples from previous students, and then you're asked to actually do an urban sketch. And I figured that you've already used watercolor and ink, but you haven't used the library, so I'm going to focus on that this week. Here, this is a library research brief, and if you want to read it carefully, because you're going to look at the work of 10 artists, and you're going to, so below is a list of artists you will look up in ArtStor. For this discussion, you must write 2 complete, thoughtful sentences regarding the work of 10 of the artists whose work you look at in ArtStor. So I don't want you to go to Google and see where they exhibit, when they graduated, where they went to school. I don't care about that. I already kind of know that stuff. What I want to know is, what are your thoughts about the work that you look at? So go ahead and read the entire assignment before you get started. But when you're ready to do your research, what you're going to do is you're going to head over to the library. And once you get to the library, you're going to scroll down to the databases. And the database that you want is ArtStor. These are listed alphabetically. So if you scroll down, you're going to get to ArtStor, the last one in the A's. Sometimes it takes a while to come up. Okay, here it is. So this is ArtStor. What ArtStor is basically is a visual database. So if you think about a dictionary, this is a visual dictionary where you type in the name of an artist and the person's work will come up. You have to use the list of artists that is in the assignment. The reason is that I don't want you to use an artist who you already know about their work. I want you to learn something while you're doing this. Some of these artists you might be familiar with. Banksy is one of them. So really look at the images, because the formal drawing in this assignment is going to be that you have to do a monochromatic interpretation of one of the drawings of one of the artists, or at least be inspired and use the style of one of the artists to do a monochromatic pastel drawing. So I think the first person we'll look at is Wayne Thiebaud. He's always kind of fun because he does a lot of cakes and pastries and sweet things. Very easy work to look at. Here's a nice example of how his images are simple but very colorful and direct. He uses correct proportion. So if you were going to look at Wayne Thiebaud's work, you would just like look at a variety of images. When you click on them, they expand into an open window and you can see the details. tells you a little bit about the work on the right side of the page. So you can just scroll, hit return and go back and look at more images by Wayne Thiebaud. Here he has some cakes on stilts with the blue shadows really being prominent in the imagery. Remember now, when you do your interpretation, you are going to have to do monochromatic color, which means you're only going to use one color and lots of shades of it. So here he just did 3 cupcakes in a row. But even though it's a simple object, simple painting in a lot of ways, there's still a lot of detail in here. You can see the ridges of the cupcake form. You can see these blue highlight details, and there's variation in the color on here. These are not just solid colors. So remember that when you're doing your work, that you want to keep it somewhat complex in terms of color. Here's a really busy one, an aerial view where you're kind of looking down on some crackers. These are like appetizers. So I would say that you should look at 5 or 6 images at least from each of the artists, and it gives you an idea. So here, this is his later work, it looks like. Oh, maybe not, 1962. So this is just objects, teddy bears. It looks like a fair scene where these are the prizes that you could get. So that's Wayne Thiebaud. Another artist who you could look up would be Camrose Aram. Camrose Aram. When I type, they come up because I've looked up these artists multiple times already. You'll have to type in the entire name. So I'm waiting for the images to come up. So this is the work of Camrose Aram. And you don't have to go read about the work. I just want you to look at it and tell me what you think of it. So you can see his work is very different from the work of Wayne Thiebaud that we just looked at. And his work seems, this work is more decorative, even though Wayne Thiebaud is sort of decorative. This kind of takes it to an even more extreme and a little bit abstracted, very colorful. So remember, if you use this artist as your inspiration, you really do want to put in a lot of detail. If you look at these little swirls, they're not just like solid colors, but they're values within all of these little swirls that really make it pop. So the whites in here are what really give this a lot of depth. If the whites weren't as bright as they are, it would kind of dull the entire image. And remember, for colors to really pop brilliantly, there needs to be some sort of like darker around them. So remember, contrast is really your best friend in making images pop. So this is a black and white image, it looks like. I'm going to look at that one. Well, it has some color. So if you were going to do something like this, that would be okay, but you're not really challenging yourself. I would encourage you to try to do something a little bit more complex. That one's already monochromatic, and part of the assignment is what I want you to do is to take an image that's in color and turn it into a monochromatic image. This is a pretty simple image. So if you do an image like this, you really want to focus on your application of pastel on the paper and making sure that you have nice high contrast so that your image pops the same way that this one, where the white really stands out. And it's not just in these centers, but all through the lines. So let's look at the work of John Curran. I think I have him on there twice. So all you do is type in their name, hit search, and it comes up. So he's a figurative artist. He does really kind of it's a weird look that he has. So he distorts people's features in a way that gives them a very odd sensation. This is a monochromatic image already. It's only using this sort of yellow. I would say this is a yellow monochromatic. It does have a little bit of orange here, but it's mostly a monochromatic image. And see how the white, the contrast of the white really pops because everything else is darker. That's a good example of how contrast, high contrast really makes an image pop. So here's another, he does a lot of portraiture. And again, you can see that the features are a little bit exaggerated to sort of have some sort of like a Baroque or an otherworldly look to them. So let's look at Raymond Pettibon. These will look familiar to you maybe because he did a lot of album covers from the 90s. If anybody knows who Black Flag or Sonic Youth, he worked with them doing their album covers. But he does a lot of black and white images. So if you did do one of his images, you would be using color and translating it into a monochromatic color image. So his drawings are a lot of them use text and have narrative. Some of them are just simple color. This is a nice contrasting color image. If you did something like this, you would want to use blue primarily, but I am allowing in the monochromatic color, in the monochromatic drawing, just a touch of the contrast of the complementary color. In this image, orange is the complementary color, and you can see how it really pops. You wouldn't use more than that much. You only want to use about 2 or 3% of your page as the most that you have the complementary color, because it's primarily going to be a monochromatic image. So here's another one of Raymond Pettibon's drawings. Text, imagery, that's pretty standard for his work. Let's look at, okay, Banksy. A lot of you might already know Banksy, but this will give you an opportunity to see more of his work, read a little bit about it. And remember, when you read about it on the right here, don't use that to tell me what you think, because that's somebody else's writings. Make sure you tell me about your thoughts on the work and not just explain to me. Banksy did a mural with a donkey and a man. So that's not what I want to know. I want to know, what do you think of the work that Banksy's doing? So just remember that. So I think that kind of gives you an idea. There's a list of artists. Some of the artists, the reason I chose these artists because it represents a nice broad coalition of contemporary artists. They're all contemporary artists that are working primarily today, although I think Wayne Thiebaud passed maybe in the last 10 years. But I did include his work because it's just a lot of fun and students do like to draw those. So this is Banksy, Let Them Eat Crack. So with the mouse. And here's another image from Banksy. So basically that's ArtStor. It's a digital database that has imagery, so photographs. And you could, like, if you look on the left here, photographs, sculpture, installations, graphic design. So it's not just fine art, but it has images of just about anything any photographs that you would want to be looking at. So it's a good place to look for art images especially. So I guess that's it. If anybody has questions, feel free to email me. I haven't gotten an email from anybody in either of my classes since the second day of break. So it's been a little bit more than a week. I know some of you are submitting, some of you are behind. I'm going to be sending out emails to anybody who is dramatically behind. The last day to drop this course is May 14th or 16th. May 14th. So anybody who hasn't submitted work for more than 2 weeks, by May 14th, I will be dropping you. I don't get a lot of views on these videos, but if you are watching, be aware of that. But I will email people before I drop them. If you're watching this, you're probably not behind because you're getting your things done. So if anybody needs help with the urban sketches, you can also just contact me and we can jump on Zoom and I can do a share screen with you. So that's it for today. Short video, maybe more people will watch it. Usually only 2 people watch my videos out of both of my classes. One of my classes ended because it was an 8-week course. All right, I'm going to say goodbye now and stop the recording. If I can find. Okay, I have to close that.